Just a while ago, my family and I were watching a movie when we saw one awareness campaign between some TV commercials. Some NGO was calling for international aid in Haiti. My brother said he did not understand why other countries with huge resources were not helping those children, those people. I took the commercial's post to explain to him the story of the five siblings who moved to a desert island. Upon arrival, the siblings 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 organized the island into 5 random portions so that each one could create a home and live at ease. Eager to enjoy their new life, they engaged in transforming the land. Everyone was so focused on their own area that they forgot about others. Several weeks passed before they saw each other again. The eldest of the brothers, one, satisfied with the work he had done with his land, took a break from his chores and went on a journey to visit the rest of the family. First, he visited his brother too, who was more or less like him. Both had access to a river where they could fish and to a small forest where they could hunt. They congratulated each other and shared a couple of experiences and advice. Within a few days, the elder brother realized that two had better tools and weapons to hunt with, which made him feel resentful. Uncomfortable, he said goodbye and continued his way. It was then that he met three. His sister had managed to grow a garden on top of the hill. She also had access to the very beginning of the river. Her area was higher than the others, so not only did she enjoy the river, but also the sun's rays that reached the area every morning. One, who was already skeptical towards Two's rapid growth, continued fretfully with his journey. It was then that he met Four. She was on the south coast of the island. Although she could not hunt inside, or cultivate because of the lack of fertile land, she could fish in the sea. However, she had to make an exhausting trip to that small area of the river to which she had access to get drinking water. She lived to the limit, with several difficulties and limitations. One stayed a few days dictating her how to act based on his successful experiences, but somehow those tips did not fit the situation and only hindered Ford's routine. Impotent for not being able to help, One continued bitterly with his journey, labeling his sister as an incompetent. After walking what seemed like an eternity along the beach and going through complicated ways, he reached the north coast, where his younger brother lived. He found him sick and desperate. Five had been feeding on fruits because, in addition to not having access to the interior forest, he could not access the sea because of the heavy currents that shook it. It was impossible to fish. He also had to build his shelter several times due to the strong impact of the wind and storms. And since he had no access to the river, he drank the little water that he could collect from the rains. One felt sorry that his brother was not taking advantage of such a large and beautiful land. Then he saw the opportunity. Suddenly, commercials ran out and the movie started again, so I shut up. Eager to know the end of the story, my brother turned off the TV and encouraged me to continue. What opportunity, and what does that have to do with Haiti? He queried. Well, Haiti is the fourth in the ranking among the countries most affected by extreme weather events. What does this imply among others? That is one of the highest levels. It has one of the highest levels of food insecurity in the world. More than 1 in 3 people need urgent food assistance. That is nearly 3.7 million people. Over 1 million people are in a situation classified as emergency. Almost half of the population is undernourished. 22% of the children in the country are chronically malnourished. 10% are underweight and 66% suffer from anemia. And we actually know how to face this. We have the knowledge, capacity, mechanisms, and technologies to end malnutrition or to solve global climate injustice. We need more leadership. There is a great fragmentation of power that does not allow us to act together and transformatively. We need new cooperation. The present demands an evolution of institutions for collective action. Hobbes spoke of the need to create a social contract to escape insecurity and establish peace among men. At that time, after the so-called natural state, insecurity was about violence and physical insecurity among individuals. Well, society transforms and evolves, acquiring new needs, new problems, and new solutions. By living in society within a political and economic structure, we are subject to give up certain freedoms to achieve others. In this way, the threats that make us agree are now changing. Now we are at the turning point where We suffer from multipolarity, fragmentation, and the search for a correct institutional distribution, while we need cooperation more than ever. Could we then affirm the need to reveal the social contract? If so, we need rules, objectives, and sovereign power. The state was created in the first situation as a sovereign entity and responsible for enforcing the contract. What do we have to create now facing this new scenario? The brothers arrived on the island and, seeking to be fair, made the pact to divide the land equally. However, at the time that they learned about the unequal productivity of the areas, they had to renew that pact in the search of justice and utility. We need to negotiate the cooperation demanded by the new global scenario. In the case of hunger, it is not a problem with consequences to solve. There is no negotiation allowed. It is a basic global responsibility. Reflection and life come after survival. Nutrition is the primary source that allows the development of human potential, and the basic human potential is not a right but a condition. Let's build cooperation that allows us to restore the human condition of our partners to all citizens of global governance. It is interesting to recognize the difference between effective global governance and genuine global governance, in order to understand the difference between global problems and global responsibilities. The first requires the resolution of dilemmas, mechanisms, or problems in order to cooperate, but the second requires coordination so as to alleviate basic injustices.